Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to the channel and welcome back to a new video. So as you guys know, my STI, I've been documenting this car on the channel for the last, I would say 3-4 years or so. I modified it, I've done a lot of things to it. And one of the things that I did very often was change up the taillights. I actually did a video on this years and years ago, kind of going over my thoughts. But at the time, I really didn't have much experience with aftermarket taillights. So what I want to do is actually go over everything and all the options and styles that I chose and kind of ran for a little while. And then let you know what I personally think is the best look and the best version. And then at the end of this video, when we go over everything and all the styles that I have ran and all the details, I want to actually dive into what I think is the perfect taillight. So we're probably going to be combining a bunch of different ones that I've tried and putting them into one and what I think personally looks the best on these cars. So one of the really cool things about this car is that there are so many different types of taillights. So many different styles, different colors, different brands, different ways to go about it. You can go super dark and super aftermarket looking, or you can do more of an OEM style. You know, there's so many different ways to go about it. That's one of the things I loved about this car was the aftermarket support is just insane. And just having so many companies come out with so many different styles and types of taillights is pretty awesome. And they're still continuing to come out with more and more products for this chassis and this car, even though this is an older generation now. So it's pretty cool to see that there are that many options, and one of the reasons why I love this car so much. So let's first start off back when I obviously first got the car. Stock taillights. That is what I'm running now. You guys know that I'm selling the car. That is why they're stock right now. But I ran the stock taillights for a while. But the really cool thing about these taillights is there's quite a few options that you can do. There's a lot of aftermarket companies that have come out with a few different options to be able to modify your stock taillights. So these are just completely factory right now. There's nothing on them, no aftermarket parts, but as you can see, this is just the C light. This is also the brake light. Over on the inside, this bigger part, this bigger clear section is your turn signal. And then right here is the reverse light. But Diode Dynamics came out with a really cool product. It's literally just a wire harness that you plug into your factory harness and your taillight, and it turns the C light into your turn signal, which cleans it up, makes it really nice. Then also that product turns the inside, which is normally your turn signal, into a reverse light as well. So all this clear section right here is a reverse light. Really nice. I really enjoyed that. I ran that for quite a while. Then I also did the smoke tint on the clear, so it looked very clean. Very OEM looking, but it still took it to the next level. And honestly, to do all that, it's about $100 or so with the bulbs and the Diode Dynamics tailless turn harness. It's pretty reasonable if you want to stay stock taillights, but you just want to update them to a more modern look. And then after running these taillights, I picked up a second set of stock taillights. So basically exactly like these, but what I ended up doing was actually cutting them open and blacking out all of the chrome housing inside. And what that actually does is it actually creates a dark cherry, a deep red look. I always thought that the red on these cars are a little too vibrant, a little too red, a little too in your face, kind of disrupts the lines of the car, and it just looked too out of place to me. So what you actually do, you can't bake them like your headlights and pull them apart. You actually need to cut it out, which is a little nerve-wracking. So I suggest picking up a second set in case you screw it up. But you basically cut out the backing, take out all the chrome housings, and then you paint them a gloss black or whatever color you want, and it looks really good. So it still keeps the OEM functionality, but it just ends up giving the red a much more deeper cherry look as opposed to a vibrant red. And it looks like it's tinted and smoked, but it's actually not. You know, the actual lens is exactly the same. It's just the inside that is blacked out and gives it a more darker, deeper red look. I also ended up painting the inside here as well, the turn signal, which was actually the reverse light. I painted that all black as well, so it gave it a really good look. So again, if you're looking to stay stock taillights, that is definitely an option. It's obviously not expensive to do. You just have to take some time and take some patience to do it, but overall, it looks really nice, and I could not recommend that style enough. So after I ran the OEM Plus cherry taillights that I ended up customizing and looked really nice, I decided to try some aftermarket options. At the time, the SuviSpeed Evos just came out, which are the ones that have like the half C light in the back. I'll put up a picture for you guys so you can see what I'm talking about. So I ended up snagging them pretty much the day they were introduced, the day they were shown to the public, and I ended up getting the white C-bar. I thought it would look good against Slappa's blue, kind of give a little bit of pop. Ended up getting them, putting them on the car, and they looked really cool. It was a really cool option, a really cool look. but overall I ended up not really liking them. Main reason why I didn't end up liking them is for two reasons. First reason is because I chose the white running bar. The white running bar, when it's illuminated at nighttime or during the day, it gives a really pink look as opposed to a deep red. And I wasn't a big fan of that since, light shining through white, it illuminates a little bit lighter than a normal red. Also, the second reason why I ended up getting rid of them was because I felt like the style of that light, the half C light, it just didn't flow with this car. The C light, as everybody calls it, is kind of iconic to this chassis and this car. So I didn't want to step away too much from that, and I felt that the Evos just it looked a little funky. So after I ran them for a little while, I decided to try out the SubiSpeed TR style. Now these were actually the V1s originally, and it's the basic one that everybody tries. So it's just the basic C light with the individual LEDs, but this time I decided to try the red running light. I really liked the way these looked on Lapis Blue. Red coloring was very nice. It popped just enough, but not too in your face. When they were on and when they were illuminated and working, the red looked fantastic. It was super vibrant and very bright. It looked awesome with the car. The only thing that I wasn't crazy about was the individual LEDs. They always kind of looked a little too aftermarket, a little too cheap with those individual LEDs, although it still looked good. Just the breakup of the little LEDs all around the taillight against the black, it stood out a little too much. After I ran them for a while, I just ended up realizing I wasn't a big fan of them just because of the individual LEDs against the black backing. It just, I don't know, it looked a little funky and a little cheap to me. And also, a lot of people always had issues with them, with the LEDs burning out and everything. Personally, I didn't have a single issue, never had one single LED burn out or nothing broke. Everything worked perfectly, never had any problems. So I wanted to try something totally different. After the TR style, there is one other style that really caught my attention, and that is the SubiSpeed V2 taillights. Now I'm going to go into detail and explain a little bit because a lot of people get confused. There are actually two different type of V2 looking style headlights. The ones that I had were the V2. I'll have some pictures up for you guys and everything so you can see what I'm talking about. Unfortunately, this is my most asked questions when people are asking what kind of taillights I had. SubiSpeed and other companies that have made them and sold them, they are no longer in production. They don't produce them anymore. You can't buy them anymore. So it was a pretty rare taillight, I guess. And honestly, it was my favorite design. Basically, it had an aggressive looking C light. The body line right here kind of bumped out, so it made the rear end look a little bit wider. And the main reason why I liked them so much was the simplicity of them. There was no individual LEDs all over the place. It was simply just the C light, which was your brake light, and your turn signal, which was both sequential and non-sequential. And then the clear strip in the middle was your reverse light. There was a couple things that I wasn't crazy about overall about those. The full clear part in the middle, which was your reverse light. The whole thing didn't light up. It was only half of it, which bothered the heck out of me. And also the backing, the housing on the inside, is more of a matte gray as opposed to a black. I kind of preferred them being black. The kind of gray coloring just wasn't right. It looked a little off. I just felt that there was a better coloring that they could have done on the inside of the housing, whether it be a little bit more darker satin black or just a deeper black overall. It was a little too gray, so it kind of stood out. It looked a little weird. But overall, the style of that taillight was my absolute favorite. Now I'm going to go into what SubiSpeed sells currently, and that is the JDM style. It looks very similar. I get it, I know. But there's a couple differences. First and foremost, it comes in different colors overall. The housing on the inside is a gloss black as opposed to the matte gray or matte black that had on the V2. And also they light up differently. The V2s, the C light, that is all it did. Nothing else. That was your brake light and your turn light as I explained. But on the JDM style, the inner part, the clear part that was your reverse light turned into a brake light and a running light as well. So it kind of looks like an E. So you got a full C light and then you got a part right here that lights up. I don't know why they did that. I don't know why they didn't listen to all the customers and everybody asking for it. I don't know why they didn't make that whole clear part a reverse light. I mean, that's what they should have done. But instead they added red LEDs as your brake light and your running light. And then they moved the reverse light into the smaller section right over here, which I wasn't a big fan of. I'm not a big fan of how that lit up. Again, it looked like an E as opposed to a C. I know we're talking letters here, but it just looked a little funky, a little off. It's still a fantastic looking taillight. I think it honestly is the best option out there still. But I just wish they kept the V2 and just made some adjustments and made it a little bit nicer, a little bit better. Now, there's a couple other different sets of taillights and brands that I didn't run, one of which was Spec D. They look okay. They look very similar to the Mitsubishi TR style, but I've seen them in person and they looked a little bit on the lower end in terms of cost and materials. They just didn't look as nice, and I wasn't a big fan of the bigger sea light. Plus the individual LEDs, I felt like they stood out even more since they were bigger and actually more of them. So I never tried them out, and I never really was a big fan of them. They still look good, but it just wasn't something I wanted to try out. And the other style that is currently still out is the OLM Spec CR. I think that's what they're called. It's actually like a reverse sea light. So it goes this way as opposed to this way. Sorry, it's kind of hard doing this on camera in reverse, but it goes the opposite way, and it reminds me of an Altima. Not crazy how they light up, but I really, really do like the coloring of them. They offer a really, really nice dark red version, which I think looks really good. Mitsubishi JDM style does offer that same dark red. The thing that I don't like about them is the outline around the taillight is a really bright red. I don't know why they did that. They should have kept it black. I think it would flow a little better. The really bright red outline just looks super odd. I don't know why they did that. It's the only colorway that they did that on any of the taillights, and it kind of breaks up the taillight. It kind of catches your eye and it looks a little strange. So the OLM Spec CRs, that dark red and that full dark red with no crazy outlines or anything like that, honestly, I think looks the best. So if I were to ever do it again and get another set of taillights, I would like to try out the OLM Spec CRs, just the darker red version. I think they look really, really nice. I'm not crazy how they light up. Again, it's like the opposite sea light, but I think the coloring on the red looks very, very nice. It looks OEM plus, but you still get that updated LED look. Now that I went over all the options and everything that I kind of tried, I wanted to go over what I think is my perfect taillight. So what I'm actually going to do is combine a few of the taillights into one. And in doing so, I think it would create a really perfect taillight. I think it's what everybody wants to see. I think it would be a very, very popular option. So I'm hoping some company, Mitsubishi or whoever, maybe that watches this video, maybe they'll end up making it. Because I've tried just about everything, and I know a lot of people have the same complaints and kind of same ideas. But who knows, maybe this video will help you guys get a new set of taillights, a new design, and kind of gets you everything that you wanted. So what I would personally like to see is the Mitsubishi V2 style come back, just the sea light, not have the little inner E light up right there, but that style, but take the gloss black housing on the inside from the JDM style, put that in the V2s, and then offer the OLM Spec CR red coloring. I mean, you can do different colors as well, but I think that would be a beautiful looking taillight. It would look very, very OEM, but still updated. We get a really nice look, but not be over the top and be so in your face where it looks aftermarket. And I really think that would be a really nice looking taillight. And also the inner center section, just be a full reverse light, full white, so you get as much light as possible when you are reversing. Plus it will look a lot cleaner when it's on as opposed to it being in different sections. And to be honest, if Mitsubishi or another company came out with that exact model, I honestly probably would just buy them and put them on the car even though I'm selling it, because I think that is the best option, the best look. And it's a combination of all the different taillights kind of combined into one. And I think it would sell really well and look really good on this car. And the only reason why I know that is because the V2 style that I ran on this car was honestly probably one of the most asked questions of what taillights I was running on the daily. People ask me all the time. And then when I did put them up for sale and sold them, it was the first thing to go. I think it was within 5 minutes of me posting them, they were gone and sold. And then people were asking me if they were still for sale after that. So I hope this video helped you guys get a little bit better understanding of all the different taillights that I ran, what the difference between the V2s and the JDM styles are. Because like I said, there's so many different options and people get confused. They don't know which ones to go with. And I feel like I've tried so many different ones that I have a good opinion on them. Obviously, it's very subjective. Everybody has different likes and dislikes. So I get it. If you want to try something else and you like something else other than me, you know, it's totally fine. That's what the different options are for. It's for everybody to kind of make it their own and decide which style taillight they want to run. But either way, I just want to thank all the companies for coming out with so many different types of taillights for us to choose from. And I really do hope one day that somebody comes together and combines those taillights that I was just talking about and makes it into one, because it would make a beautiful taillight that I think a lot of people will be interested in. So that's going to do it for this one, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. If you have any questions about any of the taillights that I ran or any other questions about the car at all, please ask them in the comments below. But in the meantime, keep it clean, keep it simple, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.